on the dusty hills of Zorah. In the land allotted to the tribe of Dan, a barren woman lived under the heavy yoke of sorrow. Israel had lost its way in the dark days, oppressed by the Philistines for 40 long years. Hope seemed a distant star, and the cry for deliverance rose like incense to the heavens. At this time of despair, around the 12th century BC, heaven touched the earth with the plea of the people of Israel. A heavenly messenger appeared to the weeping woman. With a voice soft but full of divine authority, the angel announced, "You will conceive and bear a son. He will be dedicated to the Lord from his womb. He will begin to save Israel from the hand of the Philistines." The woman, once bowed in despair, now radiant, carrying a promise too great for human strength. Samson was not destined to live as other men lived. He was to be a Nazirite, set apart from birth, bound by a sacred oath. He would drink no wine, never cut his hair, and walk in holiness before the Lord. His uncut hair would be a living testament of a covenant sealed by heaven. Through obedience, he will wield a power that no army can match, no enemy can break. However, his power is not for pride, but to fulfill a divine mission, to free God's people from slavery. Even before he breathes, destiny flows through his veins. A divine mission engraved on the soul of a warrior to come. A barren land, a humble village on a hill. From the time Samson grew up, his life became a battlefield between the purposes of heaven and the weaknesses of men. His strength was legendary. No man could match it. It was not forged through training or weapons, but was a gift. A burning power from the living God himself. Samson walked. The earth seemed to shake. He stood up to fight. Error seized the hearts of Israel's enemies. One day, as he wandered through the vineyards of Timnah, a lion roared and charged at him. But Samson, unarmed, seized the beast. His muscles, empowered by God, took the lion apart with his hands as if it were a goat. He stood beside the carcass of the lion with a proud look on his face. It was his first taste of victory, a foreshadowing of the battles to come. The exploits of Samson's strength spread like wildfire throughout the land. His enemies feared him. No one could defeat him. With the jawbone of a donkey, he struck down 1,000 Philistine warriors. Their bodies fell like wheat before the scythe. Sweat and dust clung to his skin, but his eyes burned with the fire of an unstoppable purpose. However, in the strength of his hands, a flaw remained. Weakness in his heart. Despite being destined to save Israel, Samson's desire bound him to the people he was to defeat. In the valley of Sorek, temptation awaited. Delilah, her beauty both breathtaking and dangerous. Her voice, a gentle melody wrapped around Samson's soul. He fell deeply, blindly in love with her. But Delilah, unlike Samson, was serving another master, the Philistines. They came to her secretly, giving her immeasurable silver. "Seduce him," they whispered. "Discover the source of his great strength, so that we may tame him." First, Delilah asked Samson for the secret of his strength. He tricked her, saying, "If I am tied with 7 new bowstrings that have not been dried, I will become weak." Then, when Samson fell asleep, she quietly tied him. But when the Philistines attacked, he easily broke the ropes with his hands, causing the Philistines behind the gate to be afraid. Undaunted, she once again enticed Samson to learn the secret of his strength. Samson said to her, "If they tie me with new ropes that have not been used before, then I will become weak." Delilah was just waiting for that. While Samson was in a deep sleep, she quietly tied him with new ropes. But once again, he broke free as if they were threads. The third time, Delilah pleaded, asked Samson to tell Delilah the secret of his strength. And he revealed that, "If you weave the 7 locks of my hair into the door frame and fasten them with a pin, I will become weak." She secretly wove her hair for him and fastened it to the iron door frame. But when the Philistines rushed in, he tore the door frame open with all his strength. Delilah's persistence exhausted the mighty warrior, as water wears away stone. One evening, as the sunset covered the valley with a golden sadness, Samson was finally broken by this blind love. His heart, tired of deception and longing for love, surrendered to its greatest secret. Samson whispered his secret to Delilah. "My strength," he whispered, "is in my hair. If it were cut, I would become as weak as any other man." Delilah lulled him to sleep with sweet words. Samson began to drift off to sleep, unaware of the danger approaching. Delilah, the girl he had loved so much. Now her hands used a razor to shave the sacred locks of hair that symbolized Samson's covenant with God. Her hands, which had once caressed him, now betrayed him. As the last lock fell, the sky wept. A silent shudder spread throughout the spiritual realm. Samson awoke to find his strength gone. His body, once mighty, was now weak. The Philistines seized him. They gouged out his eyes, chaining him like a beast to grind grain in the darkness of the prison. The mighty deliverer of Israel was reduced to a blind, broken slave. Samson knelt in the darkness, chains heavy on his wrists, tears streaming down his scarred face. But even in the blackness of despair, hope arose. Day by day, as he suffered in humiliation, Samson's hair began to grow again. Each strand a whisper of redemption. Each inch a promise that God had not abandoned him. Blinded by men, but not by heaven, Samson's spirit turned to God. His prayer, once silent, became fervent. Most High, he cried out in the night, "Remember me. Strengthen me once more, that your name may be glorified." The Philistines, intoxicated with victory, decided to parade their captured enemy at a festival honoring Dagon, their false god. They dragged blind Samson into the temple, mocking him, laughing at the God he served. Thousands gathered inside the temple's great stone pillars. The air was filled with the stench of pride and idolatry. They placed Samson between two great pillars, not knowing that in their arrogance, they were sowing the seeds of their own destruction. Samson placed his hands on the pillars, his fingers trembling not from fear, but from the divine power that was rising back into his body. He looked up to heaven, seeing nothing but seeing more clearly than ever. "Let me die with the Philistines," he whispered. "Let your will be done." With a final cry that shook the earth and sky, Samson pushed, muscles bulged, bones groaned. The pillars cracked under the supernatural force. The temple collapsed in a roar of dust and screams. The lords and warriors, men and women, all were buried under the rubble. Samson also breathed his last, not as a defeated slave, but as a warrior who had accomplished his divine purpose in death. In his final act, Samson killed more enemies of God than he had killed in his entire life. A blind man, broken but triumphant in his weakness rather than in his strength. The temple crumbles, dust rises. A faint ray of light shines through, a symbol of victory achieved through sacrifice. His story echoes through the generations. A reminder that strength is not the absence of failure, but the courage to overcome it. A testimony that God's call is greater than human weakness, and His purpose will prevail. Even when the pots are broken, Samson's name is etched into eternity. A flawed man who, in his final moments, became a beacon of steadfast faith and divine redemption. And though the pillars have fallen, the covenant of the Lord remains unshaken.